The Resident Evil movies are like the Transformers Michael Bay movies of video game movies. They all suck except for the first one, yet they make a lot of money, so that's why they can't stop. That's how I felt watching Resident Evil Retribution, which is the penultimate installment of the Paul Anderson Resident Evil franchise, in which Alice protects a little girl who is the mother of one of her clones, along and teams up with Ada Wong and Leon S. Kennedy and Luther King from the previous movie. Um, and also Albert Wesker convinced Alice to join signs with them to defeat the bigger enemy, which will set up the next movie final chapter. Wonder how that's gonna open up. Um, the biggest issue I have with this film is that it relies too heavy on action. That's how I felt watching Apocalypse and Extinction. At least the first one does have action, but not as much as the previous. That's the next ones. But this movie, like 85% of it is action. Like over like 5 minutes, there's just normal character talks and some I I guess a little bit of story where you have also Jill Valentine becoming more antagonist for the most part. She didn't make for a very interesting villain, honestly. I didn't care for her that much. And Albert Wesker trying to convince Alice that they must defeat the Red Queen was honestly kind of an interesting idea. Honestly, I don't know if that happens in the games, nor this in the singles without Jill turning evil for a while. And she's also blonde now, and I think she's played by a different actress. I think that's how I felt seeing her face compared to the actress from Apocalypse. Um, but like I said, the movie 85% of it is action. While the actions are fun, it sometimes can be a little boring since you don't care about the characters or the story itself, because the characters are still quite underdeveloped. They're just one dimensional. Even the main character Alice, who does still has a very cool costume, but and some cool fights, but just whatever character. As much as cool to see Leon and Ada, they didn't do as much as they should have. Though I'll to admit, the opening scene was kind of an interesting start because I actually thought it was like a flashback of Alice's past where she had a family, but no, it is later revealed that it's actually one of her clones. And also Michelle Rodriguez is back in a dual role where she's like the other character is normal, where she initially saves the clone Alice and the daughter, and also plays an evil clone that sort of becomes the main antagonist of this movie, which is honestly kind of interesting, I guess. Um, the CGI still doesn't look very great, especially on the monsters. Honestly, I do also down the next scene after the opening, where the afterlife continues scene, was an interesting uh scene where because it starts off like in reverse, but then it goes back to normal, and then we go back to Alice in a simulation where she goes to the opening of Resident Evil Afterlife for a while and teams up with Ada. Um, but yeah, overall, this movie is just kind of boring. Honestly, it really is. I ain't like it that much. But what do you guys think of Resident Evil Retribution, released in 2012?